Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I want to welcome you to another of our weekly installments in Diversity Conversations. Today, I'm all by myself. Tommy Lewis is doing some work today. You know, our businesses have been involved in so many things that they're taking him into the weekend. So we want to certainly let Tommy know our prayers are with you. The client that is taking advantage of his talents and skills today is certainly going to be blessed. There's certainly a number of things that we have to talk about this week. If you all are joining us, the community, I want you to weigh in. Certainly, if you have some comments that you want to share, I'm very interested in hearing from you. But let me just sort of reflect on this last week and the things that we did over the last week. Certainly, we have continued to grow with our business. We've got new clients. Landmark Credit Union is a new client, and we're working out the details around that. And it's been just so valuable to be able to bring on new clients on a regular basis, people that are brilliant, that want to see change happen within their organizations. I think that in the midst of all that we went through in 2020 and that we're still going through in 2021, there are a number of leaders of corporations that have sort of come up out of this and said sort of that we've got to change what happens within our organization. So I'm grateful for that. Working with GE Appliances and doing some really good work with them and excited about the leadership that they have over the marketing area. Had a chance to be in a conversation with a couple of women that are doing some innovative work around diversity, equity, and inclusion scorecards. And so one of them's connected with an Ivy League university that wants to do this on a big scale, and they want to invite me to be a part of that process. And I'm really excited about that because you can call me a diversity nerd or whatever, but I think about companies, their cultures, and what are some of the things that we can do to sort of make the workplace a sort of a people-centered workplace where there's diversity, there's equity and inclusion for everybody. And so I'm really excited about that. Moving forward with a new healthcare partner that has come back to us and said, Eric, we want to sort of start with phase one. When I work with clients, I really believe in developing a relationship over time. I tell companies that for them to change, you're not just going to be able to sort of dip people in a couple of webinars or a couple of trainings. Change takes time. I mean, if we have developed who we are over a lifetime, then that's not something that we're just going to go to a seminar or two and we're going to get there. And so since change takes time, I want organizations to be able to have confidence that we are the right partners. So I like to work with companies in phases. And I want them to pause after every phase and ask themselves the question, is this the right partner for us? You see, the name of my business is Integrity Development. And for me, that's not just a word. That's not just a name. That's the way that we try to do business. And I want organizations to know that we are the right partner. So we'll start with phase one, then we'll pause and tell them, hey, you guys have a conversation about this. Make sure that we're the right partner. Then we'll go into phase two, and then we'll pause again. Because I really believe that the work that we do is quality, but not every relationship is the right fit. So we certainly are open to being scrutinized. And so we enjoy that. I also had a chance this last week to look at bringing on a consultant that will serve as a consultant to our business. And I believe that you can't sort of work as a consultant to others and believe that that's right and healthy and helpful and not have somebody working with you. And so we're going to develop relationships with a couple of consulting firms to help us with strategic planning, looking at our culture, looking at how the people feel about our relationships. What are our strengths? What are some things that we need to get better at? I want to look at that from the standpoint of, what are some things that we need to do today, but also how do we look at the next year to 3 years, where we want to be, how we want to show up, what we want to improve and strengthen. Ty, good morning, man. I'm so glad that you've joined me as a part of our community. We've known each other for a long time. So glad that you are still a part of that we're still connected, man. I appreciate that. I also had a chance to go downtown and actually over in Newport and do a sort of a videotape and photo shoot for an award that I'll be receiving this next month. And so I was grateful that people will invite you to anything that will celebrate the contributions that you've made to our community. So I'm delighted about that. Had a chance to get my hair cut a little bit. I'm growing my mustache back slowly, I just in a fit of boredom, I just took it all off. My wife looked at it and said, "What are you doing?" So I had to go ahead and let the fuzz grow back a little bit. I'm not sure. I may take it away again. And then the last thing that I did is I had the opportunity the honor to be able to deliver a keynote address, Martin Luther King Day keynote address for the city of Springfield. And so we did that virtually. And I believe that what I'd like to do is sort of go through and share some of the highlights of the things that I spoke to them about, because I think the message that I delivered to them was one that we need at this time. And so I'd like to go over that a little bit. And in terms of family, we're still having a ball as a family. Most of my family is doing extremely well. My daughter's working her new job. Judy is working her new job, and both of them are in great situations where they're working for awesome employers. Let's just take a moment to applaud those companies that are trying to do the right thing, that recognize that people are an organization's greatest asset. And when you recognize that and you begin to do that, it manifests itself in terms of how people talk about you and how they think about you. And in many ways, how they deliver their best selves to the organization. And so shout outs to a couple of companies that are doing a great job of creating those people-centered workplaces. And I love seeing my people, my family, happy at the choices that they've made. So I'm delighted about that. And then my youngest brother, Wendell, got COVID-19. And so he's working through that. He's probably had it on over a week and a half, maybe coming up on 2 weeks. So he's coming to the end of it and has felt decent, pretty decent the whole way. So I'm just delighted about that, because, if you get the bad strain of COVID, or your DNA somehow doesn't work well, or doesn't mesh well with this virus, man, jeez, you can get up out of here quick. And so I am thankful that he is doing well and looks like he's going to come out of this maybe even stronger. It's the name of the companies. Thank you, Dr. Fowler, Reverend Fowler. So my wife is working for a company in England, actually. And my daughter is working for Clorox. And so my daughter just finished her MBA. COVID has had some benefits, sheltering in place. My daughter decided to go back, get her MBA. And she graduated from the University of Cincinnati with her MBA in December of last year. She had 4 offers. I love her story because it reminds me in many ways of stories in the Bible. I tell people all the time that, families are like, ducks. With the dad is at the head, and then mom's there. And then the kids, I got 4 of them, they're going all over the place. They're just sort of going all over the place. But as soon as one lines up, you've seen ducks, when one lines up, everybody starts lining up. And so Jillian was in college at Wright State and dropped out. And then she was working at the mall. Now, there's nothing wrong with working at the mall, but she was at the mall, being hit up on by the guys that are working at Auntie Anne's and thinking to herself, this is not the future that I'm looking for myself. And so almost like, the prodigal son, she came to herself right there at Buckle, selling jeans and things, and said, hold up. This is not the future that I want to live in for the rest of my life. She went back to school, got her bachelor's degree from the University of Cincinnati. And then because of the pandemic, she said, well, I might as well keep going. And then she went through and got her MBA and, came out shining colors. And then she had 4 offers from major corporations. She had an offer from GE Appliances, from Hershey, from Kellogg, and from Clorox, and she was able to choose. And she chose Clorox and start off with a great salary, a great boss, more importantly, a great culture. And so I'm just so thankful. But as she lined up, as she got her MBA, her brothers start, that's what happens, because our children are influenced by each other, sometimes even more than they are, influenced by their parents. So all I can say right now is I am grateful that God is moving in our lives. And I'll say that no matter what is happening right now, God is moving in your life and on your behalf as well. I had another cousin of mine tell me that her and all her family got COVID, and she lost her job. And I was just encouraging her around the gift that she has. You see, because a year ago, I remember everything was doing well, in January of last year, February of last year. And then in March, boom, COVID hits. They shut the country down. I go down to 2 clients. And that's right, Ken. Good morning, Ken. I sent you a link too. So if you want to join me, man, feel free to join me on the broadcast. But there I was in March. My wife, I told you this before, my wife had been telling me for a decade, you got to go digital. I told her I don't even believe in it. I said, these companies have got to invest in bringing people together. And then all of a sudden COVID hits, and now there's no flying, there's no traveling, there's no training in person. And so I remember going out to my car and sitting in the car in my driveway, wondering what was going to be my next move. But you see, what God does is he just brings ideas to you. And if he don't bring them to you, he give you a wife that he bring them to, and then she'll bring them to you. And so then I pivoted to digital, and it was just 30 days, and our business started going through the roof and has not slowed down since. And so what I have to say to you this morning, for those of you that are up, the most important thing for you to do in your life is identify what your purpose is. What has God created you to do? And once you understand your purpose, all you have to do is keep walking. That's it. Keep walking. And God will walk alongside you. And as he walks alongside you, you will see the blessings of heaven begin to descend upon you. And now, see, I'm old enough now to know that the blessings of heaven are not just material blessings. They are blessings of love and relationship. COVID-19 has been like a cloud that follows us all around. But I don't know why, but for some reason, a cloud of happiness and joy has been following me. I mean, I get up, man, I just feel good. I feel good. I feel good because I got a great family that loves me. Every one of my kids are beautiful in my sight. You see, I'm the guy that wanted kids when I was a kid. And so now that I've got 4 children, man, woo-wee, brother, I am a wealthy man. I can tell you that. I'm a wealthy guy. And every time I look at each one of them, I don't care what their situation is or what their condition is, all I see is beauty. That's all I see, is how beautiful they are. And the complexities of their lives only provides a platform for God to perform miracles. And I also love that when you have adult children, they give you even more opportunities to keep growing personally. I'll share this. I shared this yesterday in the keynote address that I gave for Martin Luther King's birthday. I talked about, my sons being home. And, I was telling one of my sons, to, take out the trash or something like that. And he was busy doing whatever he does on the internet. So I come down, he's doing that again, and so I get after him. And, now I go old school and, told him, hey, if you can't do something to help the family, then I don't know if I can keep helping you. That don't make no sense. And so then I walked away. You see, when you get up in sort of the throes of old school, mama can't even slow you down. Nobody can, because you on a roll now. And then Judy told me the next day how that message landed with my son and his fear that somehow I was no longer going to be there to support him. Day 2, I could hear it. And when I heard that, it just crushed me. And I went back to him and I said, son, you need to understand that my love is forever, and that there's nothing on planet Earth that will interfere with my willingness to support you, to be your foundation. I apologize for what I said yesterday, because that was wrong. And literally start, weeping. I had another situation with my son. And I'll tell you that I just say again that children are not just the opportunity for parents to tell them what to do, but they also present an opportunity for you to learn and keep growing. And so I was, so me and my middle son, we get along excellently. I have no issues with him at all, but sometimes he got, issues throughout the rest of the family. And so I come down, I'm mediating, And so, a few days ago, I came down and, I was trying to mediate a situation. And, he told me my sister doesn't even like me at all. I said, well, that's not true. And so then I started trying to broker some things between their relationship. And then I got a little, louder because and my son said, well, Dad, why does everything have to be emotional? I said, well, son, let me tell you something. I said, I'm emotional because when your sister has said she loves you and you don't seem to hear that or receive that, that upsets me, because what I really want for you all is to be able to love each other. And then I heard his question, why does everything have to be so emotional? And I said, son, let me say this to you. I want to apologize. I said, when I grew up, I didn't learn how to say, I'm sad. I didn't learn how to say, something has hurt me. I said, and so that's not the language that I grew up learning. And so I don't do it well. I said, but you need to understand what's inside of me and what my greatest desire is. And it was another breakthrough. And he thanked me for apologizing. You see, apologies, they come out of humility. And I think that we always need to be open to and practicing saying, I'm sorry. Why don't you repeat after me? I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was wrong. Try that one. I'm going to tell you that is a big part of what men need to do, especially, is demonstrate the humility that it takes to say that I was wrong. And so I'm grateful for those experiences. I'm grateful that God has given me eyes to see so that I can keep growing. And, and so that gives me joy. I love everything in my house. Eric's out in California. Evan just went to Detroit. Ethan is doing his thing. I walk by Ethan, he's 6'5". I keep thinking to myself, Rod, why ain't we in the NBA, me and you? But you know what? He wasn't going to be a basketball player because there's something greater inside of him. And I'll tell you, parents, I want you to hear me say this. Ken, I know you know this is true. That in many ways, when our kids are born, we have all these dreams and visions of what and who they are going to be. And then they keep growing. And sometimes we're guiding them in directions that we want them to go and all like that. But I'll tell you that you get to sort of navigate for the first 18 years of their lives. And then after 18, they get to drive. And I'm going to tell you this, your job is to ride that boat, whatever the boat is that they're riding, in whatever direction it's going, that's what you're supposed to do. Get on the canoe. It's a raggedy canoe sometimes, holes everywhere, water coming up everywhere. Sorry, that's what you got to do, is you've got to ride whatever God designed them to be. That's what you got to be about. You have to release. I'm going to say this in a spiritual voice. Release. Sorry. But I'm going to say, parents, you got to release sometimes your view of what they are to be. And your job is to study the clay that God has made them in the way that he's molding them so that you can line up with that. I tell you, part of the reason why we struggle with that is because we struggle with seeing our own selves as clay. We struggle with trying to identify our own purpose in life. I know what my purpose on this earth is. God put me on the earth to reconcile people one to another, and then to ultimately try to reconcile people to God. So that's what I do. That's what I try to get up every day and do. And so love to hear from you. So any thoughts that you have, I'm open to those. I'd like to share some excerpts from the talk that I gave yesterday, the keynote address for the city of Springfield. And I tell people that I developed this title over a week and a half ago because of what happened in Washington at our Capitol. I looked at that and it was just a tragedy. I mean, I know most of us couldn't even believe what we were seeing before our eyes, that people were just running through the Capitol building, just running wild, Confederate flags, beating down police officers with American flags. It showed us sort of the bifurcation. It showed us the disconnect between this fake patriotism that really is established under the banner of white supremacy and what true patriotism really is. Because if you're beating somebody down, yelling USA, USA, and you beating them down with the flag. There was a police officer, many of you heard about this, that they had him all, hemmed up, took his taser, were tasing him with his own taser. And then somebody said, get his gun, kill him with his own gun. Come on now, y'all. Crazy. And then he said that I didn't know what to do. He said, I knew if I shot anybody, that would then justify them killing me. He said, so I tried to think of some way of connecting with their empathy, And so he started yelling out, I've got kids. I've got kids. And so then a couple of people came and surrounded him, and rescued him. But what he had to say was, I'm thankful that people surrounded me, but then I have another message. F you for being there. I mean, whew. And so I say all of that to say that when I watched that, here's what I think that God dropped in my spirit. That it's easy to sort of commentate blow by blow the wrongness of those events. But the message that I came away from that with is a message for us personally. I think that it would cheapen these times if all we do is look at situations and say, see there, I told you they were worse than us. There's that temptation to want to do that. And I'm going to suggest to you that that's not the response I think that God would have us take. And so in honor of Dr. King, I wasn't going to take that position as well. And so I came away from that experience with this topic. Who am I leading? How am I leading them? And to what destination? And so that's the way that I began to look at it. I think that every one of us has to take inventory on what role are we playing in these times that we're living in. Laretha, I appreciate you. Thank you, sis. I appreciate you listening in. I want to say, I'm just going to take a sidebar because I'm ADHD. I could do these every once in a while. Just rabbit trails. I was in the barbershop this last Friday. So, I was looking like a wolf and I said, I can't do a video photo shoot looking like that. So I tried to, find somebody. Finally, Friday morning, I found somebody downtown that could cut my hair. So I went down there and brother was just beautiful. Timothy Carpenter does a great job. And Damon Lynch came in. So it was like a beautiful family reunion, And so we were chatting about life and about things. And so I was grateful for that. But like I was saying, that we have to really look at our influence in the world around us And we can't always just sit back and spend our time sort of just being victims. So I went from sort of living the dream, who am I leading, how am I leading, and to what destination. So I want you to even think about that for your lives right now, because I know many of you are having an impact on other people around you, in the community and other places. And so I want you to reflect on that. Joe, good morning, man. So glad that you are joining us. Hope all is well. It is, man. It is. I gave a couple of quotes from Dr. King, and I got a number of others too that I want to sort of share with you. If you want to, put into the community, into our sort of chat, any quotes that you love from Dr. King, I welcome those. And so I went and I just looked at a couple of Dr. King's speeches just to gain inspiration from him. And certainly he was a powerful man. He is one of our greatest heroes. So I went to his Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech, and he said a couple of things in there that I think are worth mentioning. First of all, one of the things he said was civilization and violence are antithetical concepts. Civilization and violence are antithetical concepts. Sooner or later, all the peoples of the world will have to discover a way to live together in peace. Now, he said that in 1964. Sooner or later, all the peoples of the world are going to have to learn to live together in peace. Now, if that isn't prophetic, if that isn't 100% appropriate for where we are right now, I don't know what is. He also said, I refuse to accept that we are unable to influence the unfolding events that surround us. Dr. King, I don't think that you had a vision of social media and how it would impact, putting people all in these boxes. But we are struggling. But he said, I refuse to accept. And I'm going to join with him and say, I refuse to accept that we are unable to influence the unfolding events that surround us in this city, the state, in our country, in the world. You and I can affect change. We have to always be mindful of that. I said here that Dr. King is one of our greatest heroes, but we must honor his legacy by finding our own voice, making our own difference, solving today's problems with visionary new solutions. Where are you on that? Again, I said we've got to honor his legacy. So he was great, one of our greatest heroes, but Dr. King's dead. And so we've got to honor his legacy by finding our own voice, making our own difference, and solving today's problems with visionary solutions. Where are you at on that? I then identified some of the current challenges that we face. Certainly, COVID-19, there's fear, stress, and anxiety that we're dealing with as a result of that. Systemic racism and injustice, dominant culture backlash, political tribalism, a lack of confidence in our institutions, trust in this nation around the world is suffering. We are struggling to find honorable leadership. Man, that's a mouthful there. We're struggling to find honorable leadership. I am tired of politicians, sick of them. Don't want to hear from none of them except Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Congratulations, Kamala. They're about to take the stage and take the reins of this country. And all of a sudden, we see smart people coming back to the page, to the stage, if you will. Smart people come back to the stage, just trying to do the job of being concerned about us. Not spending any time. Joe Biden doesn't spend any time dividing us or shaming or dogging people. Whoo, man. What? A sane, ordinary, regular president? Maybe even a boring president. We could use that. And so I'm grateful for that. But we have been struggling to find honorable leadership. And so what I would say to you is that, again, don't find yourself just waxing eloquent about the lack of honorable leadership out there. Look at yourself, say, what can I do? As a nation, I believe that there are three things that affect us. And I showed this beautiful slide, that we created. You can't see exactly what it looks like, but that's kind of it. Let me see if I can, whoops. Hey, I am coordinated. And so in that slide, I said that we are trapped in our silos. We are emboldened by ignorance, and we are blinded by self-interest. And so I believe that as we think about who am I leading, how am I leading, and to what destination, again, trapped in our silos. What silos are you in? Where are you getting your information? Are you going to Fox News sometimes to make sure that you get some stuff over there? Are you being curious in terms of your learning? We're emboldened by ignorance, and we are blinded by biased self-interest. And so I think that all of us, there's an opportunity for us to take a look at ourselves. Then I went next to we have so much in common. As I think about the pandemic and some of the things that I learned out of 2020, the number one lesson that I gained was that I wanted to live each day as if it might be my last. You see, with COVID-19, every day we go to sleep, man, you get up the next day and COVID is following you everywhere. And so I began to think, God, help me to live every day as though it's my last. And so that's one of the thoughts that I have. Now, I don't do that every day. And so when I don't, when I get up and this day I haven't delivered my best, then I just get up, I dust myself off, and I try to head towards delivering my best self to every day. So as I think about us as a people, because I've been thinking about solutions, I'm gonna throw this one at you. I don't know if you all heard the latest thing that they're saying that we could do, because it seems like we are so divided right now that there's no way to get us out of this. You heard the new QAnon congressman that says that she's going to file a petition to impeach Joe Biden on January 21st. Huh? I mean, just crazy. But I heard somebody, I don't know if it was Scaramucci or someone, that said that one of the formulas for getting people out of this tribalism and sort of deep division almost is to pay them out, to pay our way out of it. In other words, people are hurting. They don't have jobs. They don't have the resources. Certainly a lot of Appalachian communities, large rural areas, people are struggling, as well as in urban areas. And so when they mentioned that, I think it was Scaramucci, when he mentioned that, I said, that's it. He said, so this stimulus check, when you send everybody that $1,400, when you get these infrastructure jobs and people start going to work, when you start getting this virus under control, you're going to shave off. You're going to shave off a number of people that are up in arms because they got time on their hands. Yeah. See, when you got time on your hands, then you can just go on to Washington, wreak havoc, shout out all kind of obscenities, whatever, because you got time on you. But when you working, no, you ain't got time for that. And you ain't about to mess up that job. So I like that as an option, as a way of moving our country forward. Don't give people a lot more speeches. Give people the money. You know, that's what Trump was doing. He was trying to even put his picture on some of the money. But I think that you've got to invest in people, and that's one of the ways. But then I also believe that we have so much in common. I say here, when we're cut, we bleed the same color. We need food, water, shelter, survive. All of us, of all races and all cultures, need that. We love our families and our children. That's a universal feeling for most people. We appreciate help when we're going through tough times. And God showed me one time, I'm going to tell you this. If you're going through a tough time, I'm going to tell you some of our greatest memories are established through difficult times. And so just work through that, because it's going to be your testimony someday. But we appreciate help when we're going through tough times. And then we're sad and hurt when we lose people that we love. And I think in many ways, we have to zero in on, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Don't spend much energy debating people over political differences. If they don't want to hear you, Do not find yourself getting caught up in counterpoint arguments with people that ain't trying to move nowhere. That's a waste of your time. So don't do it. Don't waste your time. Take the high road. When I see people helping each other, ain't nothing political about that. You know, we've seen some situations even in the midst of all this craziness. You know, I remember one of the situations during the civil unrest of the summer where some people were trying to come after a police officer, and protesters surrounded the police officer to hold back those that would pursue him for harm. And so I think that part of what we have to do, I believe in diversity. You know, I'm a teacher of diversity and inclusion and all like that, but I believe that it's built on a foundation sometimes of common ground and common interest. And I would say that that's part of what we have to do, is we have to try to seek out common ground with people that are different than us. Here's one of the things that I want to give you as something, food for thought. Let's call it that, food for thought. As people of color, a lot of times we get really anxious, upset, angry about how stubborn racism is. And we view it as America's greatest sin. And I believe that bias is a human condition. Why do I say that? Well, it's true. You know, the way our brain works sets us up to be biased. It's critical for me, Eric Ellis, inclusion, diversity, equity, facilitator, subject matter expert. It's important, it's critical, it's imperative that I recognize that I too have biases. Why do I say that, and what does it do for me? Well, if I recognize that I have biases, then it makes me less angry about the biases that I find in others. That's a part of what we need, is we need to tamp down this victimization of like we're the only ones that experience bias. As I have to own my biases against others, it makes me less frustrated when I experience biases from people that are white. It also then gives me room to do other things other than sit around and wait on biased people to stop being biased. So I think that oftentimes we have to connect with people through our common interest, our common ground, our common humanity. I went on to say that inclusion is our only option. You see, as I think about the world, there are a couple of ways that people can look at each other. One way is this sort of zero-sum game where we look at everything that if I get more, you get less. If you get more, I get less. Too often, that's the prism through which we are looking at and judging society. And that's what our soon-to-be former president specialized in, is getting people paranoid about who's taking your stuff. If you look at inclusion the right way, I believe that we ought to be focused on achieving sustainable inclusion, which is a constant state of sort of becoming more inclusive. Then if I see sort of inclusion as an asset, then when you and I get together, we actually create a synergy that enables us to build more and to create more and to establish more. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying to you that too much of our energy has been spent on victimization and complaining about all the things that are working against me. Repeat after me. 2021, I am no longer going to see myself as a victim. All right, say it again. 2021, I am no longer going to see myself or my people as victims. I'm going to see them as assets. I'm going to see myself and people like me as a part of the solution. I was riding along a week ago in Westchester. I was coming off the highway on the Cincinnati-Dayton road, and I looked over next to me, and there was a brother in his car. And the brother looked like this. Boom. I looked at that and I said, now that's what I'm talking about. The magic of blackness. You see, there's something about us and our style and how we sometimes the cool that we embody is a powerful thing. And so when you get up and you do this means ain't nothing in the world that's gonna stop me. I am somebody. I'm special. And right now, I'm looking good. And that's what we have to be able to do is we have to be able to get up every day and believe because I am a child of God, because I was made in his image, that I am somebody. And there's nothing in this world that's going to stop me. If you got a comment, thought, weigh in on it. I'm certainly open to that. I went from there to then, who are we leading? Who are we leading? And so I remember, I got 4 kids. I remember, back in the day when Judy and I were having our firstborn, I went to the hospital. Back in the day, we didn't get all the information about what's the sex and the gender of the child. My father was a PhD psychologist. He was a businessman, but guess what? He was a huge athlete and he loved sports and he raised us to be athletes. And so even though, I got my master's degree and everything else, man, playing sports, playing ball was some of the most important stuff in my life. And so I'm at the hospital waiting on Judy to have our firstborn. And you know what I'm waiting on? A boy. Yep. Because as soon as this boy come out, I'm going to name him Eric Jr. And then he going to be my ball player. We about to do this. Boop. Out pops the girl. I said, what? I got a girl. God, what is this? Well, I'm going to have to make her a ball player. So that's what I did, is I made Jillian, my firstborn, my first ball player. And I took her everywhere I went. And she was in sweatsuits all the time. She didn't turn into a girl till after 18. Her mother didn't get her back till after 18. Because before that, she was my ball player. And I was so grateful that God gave me a girl first. Because I started kissing her all the time, it got me in the rhythm of kissing my children. And I did the same thing with every one of my boys. And I'm going to tell you, the kids never get too big, too old to kiss. Get some of that. If my grandmother was here, get some of that sugar. Get some of that sugar off of them. And so I remember when Jillian was in the 8th grade, I remember competing against a boy and beating him in basketball. Woo-hoo-hoo! Man, I was so proud. Like, yeah, bro. Yeah, that's my daughter. And I coached her last game that I coached her formally in organized ball was in her 8th grade year. She was at Bethany. We were the first time that we made it into the tournament. And so our tournament game, Jillian was sick that morning. I told her, I said, baby, I don't think you're going to be able to play today. You're not doing what, Daddy, I got to play. Because she had that same competitive fire that I have. And so I allowed her to play, and she scored 22 points in that game. And I couldn't have been more proud. And then I sent her off to Ursuline, and she went over there and played for my guy, Tim McGee, and tore ACL. And then she went to Lakota West, and sophomore year, tore her ACL again. Junior year, she tore the other ACL. So now she's torn her ACL for 3 years in a row. And so she told me as a junior, she said, Daddy, I'm done. I just think that my body can't do this anymore. And I said, baby, I agree with you. I said, hey, you've been a great soldier. Congratulations. I agree with that. And then she went back to high school as a senior, and she walked by the gym and she heard a basketball in there dribbling, bouncing. And then she remembered what I had planted in her. You see, our children are oftentimes a result of what we've planted in them. And so that basketball got in her. And so she came home and said, Daddy, do you think I can try out for the team? And I know these elite programs, I mean, you got to be playing AAU all summer. I mean, they don't take no time off. So I didn't think that it was wise, but I said, Jillian, let me talk to the coach. Let me just call the coach and see what he thinks. And so I called the coach up and said, hey, Fish, I said, Jillian has asked me, she's interested in maybe trying to try out for the team. I said, I know you run an elite program and I don't want her to be a distraction. So I'm coming to you to ask you, what do you think? He said, Eric, he said, it's not my call. It's not your call. He said, tell Jillian to come try out. And so she went to the high school. She tried out for the team. And she was always sort of limping a little bit, because when you've torn your ACL, now you've got something in your brain that's a lock. You see, Black people, I want us to think about that. Other people of color, white people, everybody can go through this. What's happening inside of your brain that has you locked, that doesn't allow you to achieve your full potential? See, not everything that is opposing us is out there. Some of the things that are opposing us are inside of here. And so he allowed her on the team almost like a mascot, and I went to, every practice and, to help out and things like that. And, every time they'd line up on the line to do a sprint, she'd come in last. Just didn't have the speed that she used to have, so she was sitting the bench. And I remember being in Lakota West High School gym on a Sunday night. He lines them up on the line for the final sprint of the practice. And I always look at my kids to see what's happening inside of their heads. And when I looked in Jillian's eyes, I could see that she had made up her mind that she was going to win this sprint. He blows a whistle. Boom, she comes out the gates. Boom, blows by everybody, comes in first. She had made the decision that I'm getting back up on this horse and I won't allow a fear to hold me down any longer. I had to leave the gym. I was blown away by the decision that she made, that I'm no longer going to allow fear to hold me in bondage. The coach started her on senior night. She went out there, looked like herself, up and over, spin it into the bucket. I mean, she was doing it. But then he had her ride the bench the rest of the year because he wasn't able to mentally make an adjustment from seeing her as almost like a mascot to her being really accessible as a player again. But you know what she said to me? You see, because I rode the bench all my high school life. So there's a part of me that gets kind of frustrated, almost angry when a person isn't given the opportunity to demonstrate that they can help. But Jillian said to me, Daddy, I'm so glad. I don't feel bad about, the fact that I was on the bench. She said, I'm glad that I finished the journey that I started many years ago. But here's what she gained. She gained a competitive sense that says that I don't have to accept second-class citizenship. I also sort of talked about this article that says that dads, if you want your daughters to be CEOs, then let them see you doing the laundry. Certainly, Jillian has seen me do the laundry. I'm the main one that does the laundry in my house. But what the article was about is that kids need to see sort of different gender roles as women begin to see men doing domestic jobs and they can do sort of corporate jobs. They begin to see themselves as able to do anything. You see, but the question is, who am I leading? So the first people that we're leading is our family. And what I put in all of my children was this competitive fire that says, I go after it. That's what I do in life, is I go after it. And my daughter knows I can beat guys in their game. Come on, somebody. And so that's the way. And so because she got back up on that horse, because she got back up and began to utilize her talent, her skill, and her ability, and demonstrating her greatness, when she dropped out of college, she was able to go down into her own well and draw up on some water that had been poured there by her mother and her father. And she went back and got a bachelor's degree and then went on to get her MBA in the midst of COVID-19. And then she got 4 offers. I mean, that felt like the NBA draft, better than that. Because now you've set yourself up, you prepared yourself for life. And so the question is, who are we leading in our families, in our communities, in the workplace? We have to answer that question. You see, because I think that it is cheap to only be able to sit back and commentate and describe the weaknesses, the shortcomings, and the flaws of others. That don't take no energy at all. Everybody can do that. But who are you leading? That's the question that we want to ask you today. Who are you leading? And so I think that that's so important. And so as I think about that, one of the things that I shared with them yesterday was, I decided 4 years ago to start this initiative called the Business of Urban Transformation, where I seek to recruit drug dealers, gang leaders, and killers to partner with me to bring down violence in exchange for connecting them to traditional business owners to sort of start legitimate businesses. Now, the seeds that sort of started me down that road of thinking were, number one, Amber Robinson is a young lady that was 15 years old, got stabbed to death in Westchester. She went to Lakota West High School with my kids. She got stabbed to death trying to stop a fight between 2 gangs of guys. So when they killed this little girl, they asked me to come to the high school and speak to the kids about making good choices. And I wanted to do something greater than that. I didn't want to just go give a talk about how to make good choices. I had declared, I was listening to the music that young people listen to, and I declared that I was going to change the music that young people listen to. And so as I was preparing to go to Lakota West, my kids were begging my wife, Mama, please don't let Daddy come to our school rapping or something like that. You know he's capable of anything. He's going to embarrass us to death in front of all our friends. Him, Ken Wilson, they'll do anything. I ain't go to her school. They school rapping. I did sing a couple songs. But since that little girl died, I have written over 300 songs. I have a recording studio down below me. All my kids then grew up with the recording studio that they had access to on a regular basis, because I think that to bring about change, you're going to have to utilize every gift that God has given you, maximize those so you can maximize the influence that you're having on others. And my lesson in this record label that I started and never really got off the ground was Positive Message Music. Here's what I was seeking to do, is to go mainstream. In other words, I am a Christian. But I believe God has called us to go ye therefore into all the world. So what I wanted to make, because I'm non-traditional, is party music. Let's do it, baby. Come on now, make something that we can dance to. But say something. That's the point. Say something. Make cold-blooded music. Go out there in the mainstream. You don't have to do Jesus Wept all the time. You don't have to do Amazing Grace all the time. Great is Thy Faithfulness. I love all them songs. That is the fuel that makes my engine move. But there's an assignment that we receive. Go ye therefore. And so that's what I wanted to do, is to prepare young people to be relevant in this world. But what are you saying? And what is your message? And so thank you, Ken. I appreciate you, man. And so the second person that got my attention on this urban transformation was a gentleman by the name of Dan Hofheimer. Dan Hofheimer is a great friend of mine, Jewish lawyer that works as a partner for Taft Tinney and Hollister. I was serving on the board of the Freedom Center. He was driving home one day and he got caught in the crossfire of gangs and he got shot. And I heard he was in the hospital. And that so broke my heart that I sent an email to every board member. And I said, when are we going to realize that these bullets don't have any names on them? And when are we going to seek to do something about this? And the first person to respond to my email was Dan Hofheimer. He said, Eric, he says, I'm in the hospital. He said, I'm paralyzed from the neck down. He said, I don't know if I'll ever walk again. I don't know if I'll ever practice law again. He said, but your email has lifted my spirits. And he said, we've got to realize that we've got to fight for these young people from Walnut Hills to the end of the earth. What other purpose would we be on earth? Now, I'm telling you, that's the words of a man who's been paralyzed by gang members who's saying we've got to fight for them from Walnut Hills to the end of the earth. What other purpose would we be on earth for? That says something to me. And then there's a third person that inspired this vision in me. I was in the city of Springfield probably 4 years ago, and I had just concluded a training session with the Springfield Sheriff's Department on diversity and inclusion. The head of the NAACP, Denise Williams, comes to me and she says, my brother, Eric Ellis, she said, we need you to help us with these young people. She said, they are killing each other. And then she gave me the phone number to a head of one of the gangs. She said, would you please call him? So I took the phone number on a slip of paper, took it home. Judy said, what are you talking about? Calling up some gang member? You don't know nothing about gangs. What is you doing? Throw that number away. Now, honestly, people won't say this out loud. But honestly, I heard that thought as well, like, okay, I really don't know nothing about gangs, you know. But I called this young man up. He answered the phone. He said, Mr. Ellis, he said, I got shot last week in the foot. He said 2 carloads worth of guys came around the corner. He said they pulled down their windows. He said they dumped everything that they had at me. He said, my guys grabbed me. They threw me in the house. They tore off all my clothes. He says, and I wasn't hit anywhere. He said, now I know if I would have died that day, I'd be in hell. He said, I don't know why I'm alive. That's when I knew why I was talking to him. I said, son, I know why you're alive. I said, God's not ready for you yet. I said, and I need you to educate me about the dope game. So I invited him to Westchester to come teach me about the dope game. I told him, move out of Springfield. And he told me he had a little cousin that was like a just raw killer. I said, bring that cousin out too, man. Y'all just leave that alone. So he came to my office. He sat right over there. He said, Mr. Ellis, he says, I deal crack cocaine, heroin, LSD, meth, and he named off 5 other drugs that I'd never heard of in my life. He said, I got 3 lanes. He said, I got a lane for the guys that get the girls. I got a lane for the guys that sling the dope, and I got a lane for the killers. He says, and I never crossed those lanes. He said, Mr. Ellis, you show me a guy that's driving around a $50,000 vehicle and his people are walking, I'll show you a dead man. He said, the only way that I survive is by respecting the people that work for me. I said, what? He's living by the same philosophies and principles that I'm trying to teach corporate leaders how to respect your people. Here's the answer. That when we talk about, see, when we look at young people that are dealing drugs and that are working in gangs, we see them as sort of this kind of disgrace, this vermin that we need to sort of expel out of our communities. These are our children. They're not somebody else's children. They're our children. And so we've got to be able to look at them as real people. And we've got to be able to see the brilliance that they have and recognize that our job is not just to go save them, but to be saved by them. Because there's some things that they know that we need to know. And so here I am then. I am, God planted in my mind and in my spirit, Eric, I want you to start this initiative, the business of urban transformation. He said, you've been a coach all your life. I want you to use the same skills that you've used in recruiting basketball players for AAU teams. And I want you to begin to think about recruiting gang leaders, not just drug dealers on the street, but bosses, leaders. I want you to recruit them. I want you to love them. I want you to mentor them. I want you to draw them in a way that they might decide to partner with you to bring down violence. You see, because a lot of our greatest talent, skill, ability, potential is being lost in the streets while we sit around, argue, fuss, and fight over irrelevant crap that don't even make a difference. What's happening in Washington is a zoo. It's a reality show. It's nothing. Those leaders are pathetic. So why do we spend so much of our energy listening to what they have to say about anything? And so here's what I said to people, that I've been going at this for 4 years and I have not succeeded in any way. And the reason why I haven't, because whenever there's a delay, you see, God put the vision in my head. So it's really on God to help make that come about. But when delay happens, I believe all delay happens for a purpose. And God has continued to reposition that vision in my mind from one where I thought that I was supposed to do this and lead it the rest of my life. God showed me that I'm supposed to get it started, make sure that it's on solid footing, and then to return it to the community. But here's what I'm saying to you. I hope you hear me. Ken, I hope you hear me, because you are a visionary that can pick up some things. Ty, Joe, all of y'all that same way. Laretha, thank you for joining in with us. We appreciate that. But here's what I know, that nobody can deliver on a vision that God has given you without the right partners. And so that's all that I'm waiting on, is people that can hear that vision and see a role that they can play in making that happen. I'll tell you, here's what I believe. I want you to hear me. Tune in. Open your ears up big right now. We are among the first who undervalue the resource, the natural resources that exist in our community. What God is showing me is that I'm showing you a place that's been untapped. It's been unmined. You can get there on the ground floor of this billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar industry of reducing violence and transforming what may look like garbage to some into gold and diamonds and platinum. As soon as we decide to come together respectfully, just think about that. Right now, if you're honest, I'm going to challenge you today, this Dr. King's weekend. If you're honest, you are scared of the hood. If it ain't your hood, you go around, you looking over your shoulder all the time. When are we going to decide that we don't want to live like that no more? When are we going to decide to recruit those that are the most dangerous among us? And we're going to invite them into a civil society. You see, much of what we need, we don't need to ask anybody else for their permission to do. We don't ask nobody else. All we got to do is get started. Some of these are kids, our grandkids. We got to go to work, y'all. And that's what I'm saying. And so I see those as the seeds of change. You see, as I think about our approaches to dealing with inequality, there are 3 approaches that I see us take. Number 1, we complain. We talk about, we describe, we commentate, almost like sports announcers. We commentate about the problems. Number 2, we protest. I believe in protest. I don't think that a lot of change will happen without protest, but protest is not a career move. So you got to do a season of protest, then go back into the workforce and get yourself a job. And then thirdly, we believe that we can deal with inequality by working harder. We complain, we protest, and we try to sort of put the blinders on and work harder. I'm here to tell you that none of those tactics by themselves can help us, can rescue us from inequality. It's only when we begin to recognize this. This is the other lesson that I come out of 2020 with. It confirmed for me. We need each other. Can you repeat after me? If you're sitting around at home, screaming out loud, wake your family up. We need each other. Right. We do. We need each other. Not just Black people need each other. Not just my family needs each other, but communities all over this city need each other. If you're white, if you Latinx, you Jewish, you part of the LGBTQ community, and you want to partner with me to make a difference, I am there. My job is to hear you, to see your talent. Oh, here's what I'm excited about in my business. My business is growing right now. But you know what I'm excited about? I got new talent coming to the table, and they do some things better than I do it. And I love it, man. I'm so excited about that. And what I always want to do, so I ask people to do something. But you know what else I tell them? I say, hold up. I asked you to do something, but don't let my request, listen to this, don't let my request squash, minimize, distract from your own innovative thoughts. Don't let my request limit your thoughts. Because I need to not just take advantage of what I ask you to do, but I need to take advantage of what you think. You see, because if you only do what I ask you to do, then I'm not taking advantage of all that you can bring to the table because I have no idea what it is. And so I began to interview people around who are they and what are their gifts, what are their dreams and goals and objectives, because all of that is going to be a part of the process. I also talked about the gift of sight. God says that no one comes to me unless I call them. I will say to you that if you are a person that tends to be what I call a diversity critical thinker, an ability to recognize the legitimacy of perspectives that are different than the one that you have, count yourself blessed. If you're able to see, if you have the gift of sight, count yourself blessed of God. Do not take that sight for granted. And so I'm going to challenge you right now. Anybody that hears my voice, I'm going to lay the vision that God has given me at your feet as well. And my prayer is that God will not let you rest until you bring to this table your wisdom, your action to help me activate this vision through my failure. And that's what I'll call it. 4-year, failure is too hard a word, but it's a delay in the realization of the vision of God. The delay has caused me to see how inept I am as an individual to bring about a great vision that God has given. But I can tell you, I said multi-billion-dollar vision. What if we could collectively begin to go neighborhood by neighborhood and shut down violence? Partner with dope boys, gang members, killers to follow us. You see, we're lacking. Who am I leading? Let's continue. I guess we're coming up on, we got about 20 minutes left. Ken, I appreciate you. I need you to survive as well. Aretha, thank you for your perspective, for your support. I love all of you all. And so, and then I asked the question, how are we leading? Let me share this with you. I created a concept. Judy and I created this concept called disruptive cultural curiosity. And so you may be familiar with the term disruptive thinking. You may be familiar with disruptive innovation, but disruptive cultural curiosity. It's defined as interrupting our comfortable patterns of thinking. So that's what I have come to you today to do. Interrupt your comfortable patterns of thinking. You see, that's the problem today, is that too many people sit back in their self-righteousness, celebrating their own comfortable patterns of thinking. And what I'm saying to you is that we've got to disrupt that. We've got to disrupt our comfortable patterns of thinking. What if we were to start with a hypothesis that says that, everything I think I know about racism, sexism, systemic racism, diversity and inclusion is wrong? The next part of the definition says, then, to ignite exploration and integration of culturally competent insights. To ignite. So interrupt our comfortable patterns of thinking to ignite integration, exploration and integration of culturally competent insights. What that means practically is that I sort of loosen up my grip on my notion that everything I think is right. And I begin to unleash an exploration inside of myself and an integration of culturally competent insights that I gain from others around me. The research says that we get more knowledge, more wisdom from people around us than we do from consultants or educators or teachers. So I'm saying to you, I'm really trying to unleash in you this curiosity, this exploration that says that every day that I get up, I'm going to go to the world to learn something new from the people around me. Disruptive cultural curiosity. When we begin to apply that, we will also have more insight even into the white supremacists, even into the terrorists, even into the hater. And we will begin to unlock the formulas that are necessary to develop a greater society. Timmy Carter, my man, he said, I'm looking good. That's because he had something to do with it. He rescued me on Friday morning. I woke him up in his house. He was there along the bedside. I said, Timmy, I need a haircut, man. I can't go do this interview. He said, what about 9:30? I said, no, I got to do it before that because the whole photo shoot happens at that time. And he rustled out of his bed and he came in and he gave me a cut that met the approval of the missus. When I showed back up at home, she said, oh my, you look kind of handsome today. I said, okay, thank you. Timmy, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate the conversation. He's at Corporate Cuts downtown. They do a fantastic job right next to First Watch. I told you Damon Lynch was there. When we meet in barbershops, that is really, it's really our think tank in many ways. And I know COVID-19 shut us down a little bit, but we began to reblossom. And I was just grateful for the wisdom, the insight, and the skill of this great barber. So I appreciate that. The next question was, so at the end, to what destination? Who am I leading? How am I leading? And to what destination? And so I believe that we have to be aimed towards destination hope, destination peace, destination self-actualization, destination unity, destination purpose, destination power. We have to begin to believe and to recognize how great we are and can be if we begin to come together and not fear each other and not live our lives in fear, but live our lives in love, in hope, in power, in self-actualization, which means the realization of your full purpose and potential. That's what we want to go after. Now, because this is Dr. King's weekend, I want to hit a few quotes. And I asked y'all to deliver a few of your favorite Dr. King quotes. What? Nothing. What y'all doing? Just because Tommy ain't here, you still got to show your brilliance. So Here's a couple of Dr. King quotes. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. The Strength of Love in 1963. I know today, love is old school. In many ways, it's out of style. People want a pound of flesh. They want Biden to get them back. Let's get this guy back. And let's say it again. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. So if we want to honor Dr. King and some of the great things that he said, that's one of them. Let's look at another. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. That is why right, temporarily defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. Right, temporarily, last 4 years, defeated, is stronger than evil triumphant. The time is always right to do the right thing. Again, I'm saying that it's wonderful for us to celebrate the life and times of Dr. Martin Luther King. He was a great man. But I'm reminded of the Bible and Jesus saying, greater works will you do. Every time I think about that, I say that can't be true. Come on, Jesus. Why you gonna say that? You know he can't be greater than you. Huh? Come on, bro. But that's what I'm saying to you about Dr. King. We cannot have what was with us 50-some years ago be our last chapter in hope. One thing I said to Damon Lynch, I said, Damon Lynch, help me to understand. Why were you the last black guy on TV? You know, and we just laughed because in many ways, Damon had gone national and global back during the civil unrest, 2001. And I think one of the things that, quite frankly, we've seen is the shutting down of the voices of black leaders. Now, what we got was a lot more commentators. So that's nice. We got some news people, on CNN and some other places. But we don't have leaders being given oxygen because then they would have too much influence. But I'll tell you this, that we have social platforms. I asked Damon how his ministry was doing. He said, Eric, just like your business, my ministry is. So I'm going to say to you that we really do have to get out there. Who am I leading? How am I leading them? And to what destination? Let's look at a couple other quotes from Dr. King in our final minutes. Some of this hopefully will inspire you. Be a bush if you can't be a tree. If you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be a sun, be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or fail. Be the best of whatever you are. That is what I'd say to you today. Be the best of whatever you are. And I think that too often we are looking over into other people's lives and we are envious of what they have, not recognizing the beauty of what we have. And so I'm grateful today to be in my skin. My skin is not equipped with everything that life has to offer, but it is equipped with everything that I need in order to contribute something to my family, to my community, to the world around us. And I'm grateful if I'm a card player, I'm grateful with the hand that God has allowed me to play. And so I want to say that to you. Don't spend any time being frustrated about your plight in life. Celebrate it. I now know as an older man that materialism is fool's gold. it promises greater than it delivers. There's some of you that might think that if I had a better job, if I had more money, if I had more material possessions that I could show to other people, that I'd be happier. I can tell you this, that material does not bring happiness. Only your purpose, a recognition of your purpose, and a manifestation of delivering that will bring true joy to your life. And so that is my encouragement to you, is to look to be what God made you be. And as I think about, this thing that I love about Tommy and I working together in integrity, in humility, in love, is that we are generally excited for the other one's success. For every client that Tommy gets, a new client, where he's at today, I know those folks are going to be blessed to have a consultant of his stature supporting them. Let's see if we can just hit a couple other things before we wrap up. For when people get caught up with that which is right and they are willing to sacrifice for it, there is no stopping point short of victory. And so that's what I want to say to you today. There is no stopping point for us short of victory. We will overcome. We will win. Look within yourself for the answers that you need today. Connect with other people in a selfless way. As I gain more resources, I make more investments in others. And I'm so excited that I invested when I had a little. I'm looking forward to having a lot, because I'm going to invest at a greater level even then. I can tell you now that content creation is a big area. I want you to sit down and begin to analyze what are the gifts, talent, skills, and abilities that God has planted in you. And then I want you to begin to access those, to have impact on anybody that's around you. I want you to think more about being a positive influence. I want you to think more about not being a distraction, not being negative, but being positive. I want you to think about how you can bring your best self to every day so that you can impact this broken world around us. When you see a world that is as broken as the one that we exist in right now, you should see that as opportunity. That's the way I look at it. Opportunity to love somebody, to care for somebody, to partner with somebody that is bright, that's gifted, that's talented, and then let's make a difference together. I am so glad that you all decided to join me this Saturday morning, because I didn't expect, I can tell you this. I get sad every time that I know that Tommy's not going to be with me, because it's easy for us to work together. And I don't have to carry the whole load. That's how life is. That when you get more partners, you are less responsible to carry the whole load. But because you all have joined me today, I'm not alone. Because you've joined me today and you've weighed in as part of this community. You have inspired me to find something deep inside of myself that I can share with you that is worthy of the time that you have invested with me this morning. I love you all. I really do. I'm grateful for you. I want you to know that as God gives you success in your life, as God gives you success achieving your purpose and what he built you to do, I want you to call me. I want you to tell me that God did something great for you so I can be among the first. Woo! You see, a lonely success is worthless, but a community success, a national success, a global success is a great gift. And I want to encourage you to be a part of that. There's 10 people down here at the barber shop listening. Timmy Carpenter, I appreciate you, my brother. I love you and your other barbers, man. You all are amazing. You are doing God's work. You are creating an authentic platform for us to have real conversations. And that is a blessing. When I called you, I didn't recall right away who you were, but you recognized my name. And then I recognized you when I saw you. And I'm grateful that God has reconnected us, because it's hard to find a barber. I mean, it's like finding sunglasses. I love sunglasses, but don't try to pick out no sunglasses for me, because that's going to be a hard thing. And it's hard to be a great barber. It's not whether you are a great barber or not. It's, can you deliver to that customer the picture that they have of themselves inside their head? That's a gift. And so you do that by listening, by studying, by asking questions, by gaining feedback. Hold up, y'all. Did you hear the lesson of the barber? The way you become a great barber is by listening, so that you can align with the vision that the customer has inside of their head of how they're supposed to look. And that's what Timmy did for me. Is he aligned with the vision that I had inside my head. But it also was the vision that my wife had inside her head. And so just like God said, after 7 days of creating the world, he sat back and said, it's good. And that's what my wife said when she saw this cut, bruh. It's good. So I appreciate you for joining me this morning. I love y'all. I've been on the roll today. I got to say it myself. I've been on the roll because y'all here. Y'all inspired me. If I'm just talking to a computer screen, that's not helpful to me at all. But when I'm talking to you and you're talking back, every time you say something, I get blessed. And I'm just grateful that we have such potential in 2021. Nobody gonna stop us. That's not gonna happen. All you have to do is identify your purpose and keep walking toward that. And let Dr. King be your inspiration to do something greater than what he did. Mark Tobias, I love you, man. It's my brother from AFTA. I love you. Y'all hold it down in DC. I see y'all ready this time. Y'all not gonna let people just come there and take over the Capitol, huh? And so Mark says, I hear you. Thank you. Mark, I appreciate you, man. We got a conversation that's gonna be coming up soon. I love you all. I'm grateful that you take time out of your schedule to tune in to what I have to say. And I'm just grateful that this year presents an opportunity for us to do something greater than we've done in the past. And I'm going to tell you, tell somebody what you think about them if it's positive, because that's what we need. We need to hear that. Everywhere I go, I try to say positive things to people because the world already has enough negative energy in it for itself. What we need right now is people to look at themselves and ask the question, who am I leading? How am I leading them? And to what destination? Take care. Have a great week. Join us next week when Tommy Lewis will rejoin us. And I think we're going to have Jason Slaughter and his wife are going to join us to talk about couples and relationships and things like that. If you want to reach me, you can call me at 513-874-6836. You go to our website, www.integritydev, short for development, DEV.com. And I'd love to talk to you. Take care. Love somebody. Bye now.